Hi friends, it's Miss Pamela here from Yellowbird Studio. Today I'm going to be doing a fun upcycling project with you. We've been talking about different ways that you can use all of the leftover cardboard and boxes that many of you have lying around at home. And cardboard is something that we regularly use here at Yellowbird Studio. It's just a fun way to kind of let you have open-ended art, different things that you can create. And the project we're going to focus on today are these adorable cardboard robots. Now, for these robots, what you're going to need is just a random box that you have from any shipment left over at home. Depending on how large you want to make the robot will determine how large of a box you will need. That will be completely up to you. And then you're also going to need a sturdy pair of scissors. We here at the studio have a tool, which is our cardboard cutter, which we absolutely love. It saves all of the hard work that our hands have to use. So if you have any children at home who are regular crafters that love recycling materials and using lots of cardboard, we often suggest to our parents to invest in one of these. We got it through Amazon. It's a Works cardboard cutter. Basically, you just kind of squeeze and pull and you're able to cut through the cardboard. It does have a blade, but it does also have a guard here. So you really can't cut your fingers or get hurt. We still suggest adult supervision for the young children, but often our 7-year-olds and up tend to use this on their own, even in the studio, and it's very safe. So I just wanted to go ahead and mention this in case any of you want to look into something that will help you for future cardboard projects. But for this one, scissors will work just fine. Aside from the scissors, you're also going to need either masking tape, a strong tacky glue, or if you have a hot glue gun at home, we use a low temp hot glue gun here at the studio, which is what I'm going to be using today just to help the process go along a little faster. If you use regular tacky glue, that's fine. It's just going to take a little bit longer for things to dry. Aside from the cardboard, I also like to mention that sometimes cardboard is a little hard for our younger friends to cut. So if your parent can help you cut some of these pieces out, that will be great. If you have a little guy who really wants to be independent and do it on their own, we often suggest using things like leftover cereal boxes or fruit snack boxes. Here I have a tissue box. It's going to give you the same kind of cardboard look, but it's a lot thinner and a lot easier for the children to cut. So that can also be an option as well. For our robot today, we are going to need a couple different pieces. If you look closely here, you will get to design it as you wish, but I went ahead and used a rectangle and a square, and then I cut some smaller rectangles for the arms, slightly longer and wider rectangles for the legs, and then I did some fun shapes for embellishments along the face and along the body, and to kind of go ahead and do the feet. Once you've got all of your shapes and all of your pieces cut out, I've gone ahead and I've made my legs ahead of time here. I have my body. Now I'm going to go ahead and just cut a few pieces. Like I want to do a little chest shield here, so I'll cut a little chest shield. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut out a fun little heart because I think I wanted to put another heart on my second robot as well. So I will cut out a little heart. As you can see, it's pretty easy to cut as long as you've got a nice strong pair of scissors. I'm going to go ahead and cut a strip that I want to put on the face. I'm going to cut another smaller strip to go across the face. And like I said, you can design your robot any way that you want. I'm just kind of making a replica of what I had made before here, just to kind of show you some of the steps that I went through. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut some fun shapes for the feet. And cut out any shape that you want. It can be a square, it can be a rectangle, it can be a triangle. They don't even have to be the same shape. You can kind of make them as wacky and as silly as you want them to be. But I just wanted to be able to show you that you just basically have to pre-cut all of your shapes. And once you have your shapes and you know, okay, this is going to be the head, this is going to be the body, I think I want these to be the arms, kind of plan out where you want everything. And once you've been able to plan it out, I'll go ahead and move this up. Got some paint on my finger. That's okay. Art is messy and it's perfectly fine to be messy with art. Here we go. We've got our arms. I'm going to cut the pieces for the legs. And then I've got these little pieces that I want to use for the feet. So we've got for the feet some pieces. These are some pieces that I'm going to put on the body. And then I'm going to do an additional piece for the neck to hold the head. and the body together. Once you have all of your pieces and you're exactly sure what you want to be able to assemble your robot, then what you're going to do is you're going to be using the paint to paint it. I'm going to use acrylic paint today. It's just what I have on hand. If you don't have acrylic paint at home, but you have regular poster paint, that'll work just as well. If you have any of those fun quick sticks, I know they sell the paint sticks all the time at the craft stores now, and a lot of children have mentioned they have those at home. Paint sticks will work just as well. If not, use markers, use crayons. We've even sometimes dipped into leftover house paint samples. So we have lots of house paint samples sitting around from when we were renovating the studio. So we often use these as well. So I'm sure that some of you may have some of these left over in your garage. And this works just like acrylic paint. And it's something that the children can use for painting as long as you have protected your surface and they're wearing old clothes or smocks, so you don't have to worry about the paint getting on their clothes and staining their clothes. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward and we'll go through each of the steps together. I'm going to go ahead and start by painting the head. Now you can choose any colors that you want, any colors that you have on hand. You don't have to copy mine. This is just to give you an idea. And what you'll do is that you will go ahead and you'll paint your cardboard. Once again, make sure that your surface is protected and you're wearing old clothes or a smock. If you're choosing to use an acrylic paint, that does not wash out. But if you're using poster paint, you should be fine. Or coloring with crayons or markers or anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and rinse my brush. To dry. Always make sure you dry your brush really well. The acrylic paints won't be as vibrant if your paint is really wet. You don't want it to be runny and make a mess all over your table or your cardboard. And then I'm just going to choose another color for the body. If you want your entire robot to be one color, that's also your choice. You're welcome to do that. I've even had friends who sometimes with parents' help will spray paint some of these projects. It's completely up to you how you choose to add color to your project, but just remember, make sure that you're using materials that are safe, make sure you have permission from your parent, and that everything that you're using for your project has been approved with mom or dad. Okay? So we'll go ahead and paint the body. Basically just get a nice, good coat cover. Now, if you want to make patterns or designs on your robot, like polka dots or stripes or anything else, I suggest that you, especially if you're using acrylic paint, go ahead and let that first layer dry completely, and then you can come back in and do some fun designs over it. And a lot of our students here in the studio have learned already that that's the fun part of acrylic paints, is that you can always layer them. It doesn't matter how dark or how light the color is. Once you've let the surface completely dry, you can come back in and do as many designs or decorations as you would like. Now, I want to go ahead and do a couple more pieces. I'm not going to paint all of them just so it doesn't take up a lot of time, because I want to be able to show you some of the assembly and some of the embellishments and things that we're going to be doing on it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the legs and the arms bare for right now. I may even leave the chest plate bare as well. I think I'm going to go ahead and just paint my fun little heart that I want to put on my robot. So once you have painted all of your pieces, you want to let them dry, especially if you're going to be using tape or if you're going to be using the hot glue, because it won't work very well if your surface is still wet. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of pretend that it's dry, just to kind of help us move around a little bit and move forward. So what you'll do is that you'll just take your hot glue gun and you'll start placing the glue on the back of the pieces that you want to assemble together. So for example, I know I wanted to put my little heart there, so I'm going to glue that onto the square. Here I have the head, and I did want to make like a cool eye shield, so I'm going to go ahead and take that rectangle that I cut for that, and I'm going to put that across the top of the face. So there's the piece for the face. And then for the body, I prefer to glue the arms and the legs on the back side of the body. So I'm going to go ahead, and once again, we're pretending this is completely dry. We're going to go ahead and turn it over. And I'm going to attach by just putting a little dot of glue on the top part of the arm here, gluing it on to the back of the body. Same thing, you're going to take your other arm, put a little bit of hot glue in the back. And please be careful when you're using the low temp hot glue gun. Even though it says low temp, it can still get pretty hot. So you want to make sure that you are always watching what you're doing with your fingers and with the tip of the gun, because the tip is the metal part that actually gets very hot. And that's what you have to be most careful with. So make sure that you are being careful with that. And if you're feeling nervous about using it, just ask your parent for some help, or maybe an older sibling or someone that can help you. So now I have all of my limbs on, the arms and the legs. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it right back over. And then I had cut a little piece that was going to be to hold the head onto the body, just a small little rectangle. And that's going to go behind the head and behind the body. I need an extra little glue stick. And then that's just going to hold the body and the head in place. And then I'm going to put on the little pieces on the bottom for the feet. Now you don't have to use these, I just wanted to because I just thought it would be fun. But if you want to leave the bottom of the leg just the long rectangle, that's perfectly fine as well. I didn't even make my shapes the same. I actually made them a little different just because sometimes when it's a little off, it looks more fun that way. It doesn't have to be perfect. I never want you guys to feel pressured to have to make perfect shapes. So there you have the main body of your robot. And the next step, let's pretend all of this has been painted. Let me go ahead and show you the original again. On this one, I even did some fun little ear nubs there. So if you want to make some like that, you're welcome to cut those out as well. I've gone ahead and have all of my pieces glued on. All of my pieces are painted. And the next part is called our embellishing stage. So once you have your cardboard completely assembled and all of your paint has dried, you can move on to the fun part, which is decorating. Now for the decorating, I just kind of raided our toolbox and went through, looked around the studio and found lots of different scraps of metal, which you can do at home. I'm sure that mom or dad have some junk drawers, some leftover recyclables or pieces that they have at home, maybe even like bottle cap tops or fun twisties from your fruit snacks or your apple sauces. You can use those as well, even though they're plastic. That's also fun. I pulled out some bolts and some washers and some screws, some rubber rings. We've got different size washers, these little metal washers, big screws. We even have little Allen wrenches left over from the IKEA building kits when you're making furniture. And I even found some little gold scraps of metal. So anything that you can kind of pull together that's going to make it look a little fun and industrial, and it's going to give your robot some interesting little details. There's even a little spring. See the little spring there? We found a little leftover spring. I'm going to go ahead and incorporate that as well. So once you've collected all these fun treasures and you have all these cool things that you'd like to incorporate on your robot, you can go ahead and take your low temp hot glue gun again and kind of plan out where you want to use each piece. So I know that I want to maybe try to use some of these round washers. See the washers right there? Use a couple of those on the eyes. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little circle of glue. And remember, be very careful. Now, metal is a conductor, which means that it does get warm when you're using it with the hot glue gun. It does become quite warm when you're pressing on it. So just be very careful when you're pushing down, especially with small objects, because the glue sometimes will seep out the sides and you want to make sure that you don't burn your fingers. So I've put two little washers on for the eyes, and I think I want to use these little gold pieces that I found left over, and I'm going to use those to make a little bit of a mouth for my robot. On my original robot, I cut out the mouth out of cardboard and I painted it, and I decided to use that. But today I want to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to use these gold pieces and create kind of a more serious expression on his face. I think this is going to be a very serious working robot. So he's going to have a different expression on his face. we're going to glue down little pieces. So let me show you. So I've gone ahead and given him a little kind of rectangle mouth there. And I think I want to use one of my small screws, you can see in my hand right there, for his nose. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that on. So as you can see, it's very different pieces than I used for my sample robot. But that's just to show you that you can pretty much use your imagination and be as creative as you want with the pieces that you find around the house. And I'm going to go ahead and use up, I've got a really large kind of copper washer here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and just put that as a decoration on the robot's chest and glue that on. You can see right there. I also found these kind of fun rubber rings, and I thought, why not? They can be fun decorations on my robot as well. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of the rubber rings maybe on its arm. And once again, just be very careful when you're using the hot glue gun, please, because it can get a little messy sometimes when you're squeezing down on objects. And if you have tacky glue at home, as long as you put a thick enough layer of it on, and your pieces that you're using are not too heavy, it should be able to dry and hold everything in place really well. Now I'm going to go ahead and you know what, I think I want to incorporate the fun spring somewhere. So I'm going to put the spring here on its body and lay it on its side. That way it has a little bit more to grip onto the glue with. Go ahead and put the spring on its body. Now he's a working robot, so I want to give him some tools. So I'm going to pretend that these big long screws are maybe his little hammer or his little screwdriver. So I'm going to put one of these in his hand, so he can be holding on to his tools. I do have another one which has like a really thick black cap on it. I think this came from a piece of furniture we're no longer using. So I'm going to go ahead and incorporate that on my robot as well. I'm going to have tools. Sometimes if you have old keys left over, those are fun too that you can use on the body as well. So I'm going to go ahead and I think I'm going to stop here. I'm not going to add any more pieces because I kind of like everything my robot has on its body right now. So I'll go ahead and show you. Now with yours at home, you would of course painted your arms and your legs and your feet if you wanted to. You could have gone in and done decorations. So for example, let me show you. I think I'm going to do some fun green polka dots. Now that the paint has dried some, I can go in and just kind of paint some fun markings on my robot. And you can do anything you want on here. You can make him as colorful as you'd like. If you want to stick to kind of more monotoned colors that are kind of similar and very neutral, you can do that. If you're lucky enough to have some fun metallic colors at home, you can make him look really shiny and metallic. You see? So you can go in and you can create as many fun designs as you would like on your robot as well. In the past, we've had kids here when they do fun little projects like this. They've even used scrapbooking paper and cut out fun things like hair bows or some crowns or any headpieces. And if you want to add some of those on as well, you are welcome to do so. I'm going to show you one last time my final product. As you can see, she's a little girl robot here. And our little girl robot has, you know, different gears. I used some twisty bolts. You can kind of see, I'll hold those up a little bit more right there. Different washers, and I even used a fun little scrap piece of metal to make a little hair bow in her hair. So it's completely up to what you enjoy, what you love, what you would like your robot friend to look like. But this is a wonderful way of using up just leftover materials that you have at home. It's really inexpensive. The only thing is whatever you choose to paint it with or color it with. So thank you guys so much for coming out and watching our videos today. I really hope that you can find really creative ways to keep reusing all of your materials at home. I hope you enjoyed our fun little tutorials, and hopefully we'll see you guys again soon for another video. Okay, have a great day. Bye.